Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. Welcome to the second day of 60 Days of DevOps with Vikash series, and this is your host today, Mr. DevOps. So, if you are not aware about the series, this is the day 2 of this series, and that is mainly focused on first basic to advanced level, second interview specific, and third is it is going to be a complete real time experiences. I will share the scenarios, we will do the project, and along with that, we will have interview preparation day where we will deal with the interview specific questions and answers, and it is going to be full of example and mind maps. Okay, so I will be explaining the complete topics from day 1 to day 60 plus. I will be explaining using mind map so that it would be very easy for you to correlate, and you can you can connect those dots so that it will help you in the interview as well. And apart from that, we will see many things. So let's get started with the second day of DevOps series. So before getting into that, it is a best thing to have a quick overview of what are all the things we have covered in the previous session. So let me show you. So in the previous session, what are the things we have seen? We understood why we should you go for DevOps. Okay, there were mainly three questions: why DevOps, what is DevOps, and what is DevOps strategies or methodologies. So before knowing why DevOps, we should know what was before DevOps. We understood all the traditional method that were being used as a part of software development lifecycle, about waterfall model and agile model. We understood each and everything about this model, like what is waterfall model, what are the strategies, what are its drawback, what is agile model, what are its drawback, and what are all the strategies we have into this waterfall model. Apart from that, we have seen DevOps approach or model. Like we have seen what is DevOps model and how does it help it solve the, it fills the gap. Okay, which were not getting filled using your waterfall and agile model. So that also we have seen. Apart from that, we have seen various strategies like continuous deployment, development, testing, monitoring. What are these all thing actually means? Okay, apart from that, we have seen continuous integration. What does it mean, and at what stage it help us, and what are all the tools which is involved on each and every involved with each and every stages. That also we have seen the DevOps life cycle as well. Okay, so this is just a quick recap. So if you want, I will highly recommend you to, before getting started with this second day, I will highly recommend you to go through the first, and you will get to know like at where do we stand currently. So you can check the link I have given into the I button, you can see on the top right side. So now let's get started with the day 2. Day 2. So here mainly we today we will see mainly about complete roadmap of DevOps for beginners and experienced. We will see complete roadmap of DevOps for beginners and experienced. Okay, so what are all the things we will cover here? First thing is first thing is the same what I have told you, that is going to be DevOps roadmap. And second thing, we will see what are all the prerequisites are there. Okay, when we are starting with DevOps, what are all the things that is expected from us to know, okay, before getting into DevOps. And third thing, we will see what are the tools and technologies we should know. Tools and technologies. Okay, so these are just a heading, guys. So we will see these all things, okay, using mind maps. Okay, so just a quick reminder, guys, in case you have not subscribed this channel, please do subscribe. Also press the bell icon so that you will get notified with the upcoming video like day 2, day 3, day 4 of this 60 days of DevOps with Vikas series. Okay, so let's get started with the mind map, means complete roadmap. Okay, so into this prerequisite section, many things will come, right? Like, do I need to know programming language? Okay, if yes, then what are all the programming language I should know? Apart from that, in the prerequisite section, we have networking concepts. So before getting into DevOps, these are the things I will tell you. Don't worry about that if you don't know these all things also. But let me first explain these all things to you. Then we should be able to know, cover the security aspect as well. And then about cloud, and then about operating systems. So These are the things we have coming to the DevOps roadmap. We should be able to know the prerequisite. What are all the prerequisite we have? The programming languages. Coming to the programming languages, we should be able to know. It is expected from us to know Python. Okay, Python. Why? Because of automation. Okay, where we will be mainly using this Python? You will be thinking, right? So first thing, what I told, why we need Python for automation. So think of a scenario. First scenario would be, suppose you are working on development server, okay, and on the weekends, on Saturday, Sunday, all the 600 of server if you are having, this should be closed, right, at certain amount of time, because that is costing us a lot. So in that case, we can write a Python automation script so that it will, shut down all the server on Saturday, Sunday, and again it will start all the servers from Monday to Friday. Apart from that, if you are having running 100 of server for development purpose, okay, development purpose is not that server on which your application is running, main application is running, right? That is your production server. So this is, you can turn it off, right? Maybe in some such kind of project, if it is a huge project, you would be needing these much number of server. Okay, so first scenario was, let the development server be running from Monday to Friday, but I want to turn it off on Saturday, Sunday to reduce the cost. Correct. What could be the next second scenario? Run the cleanup activities. It should run the cleanup activities. We can schedule using Python script so that at certain day and certain time, it will try to run the cleanup activities of the VM so that the application or the things which you have deployed onto that, it should be running smoother. Right? Apart from that, this is the second scenario. Third scenario could be, suppose you have set some CloudWatch alarm, like if storage or anything storage is greater than 80%, then what you have to do, it will try these all things as well, cleanup activities and all, but once it is greater than 80%, it should do what? It should attach disks to the EC2 instance wherever it is required. So these are just the main example where you can use this Python automation script. Apart from that, you can write the Python script to automate your day-to-day GitHub task. So these are just the example I have told you. So that is why logic building is very much required here. Okay, coming to the logic building. So then you would be able to write the shell script, right? In shell script also you have various kind of condition loop, for each loop, while loop, right? So it is just similar to the programming language, so you have to build your logic. So that is why you should know some programming language. Apart from that, you will be doing groovy scripting. Although these groovy scripting and shell scripting are not part of programming language, you can say not infrequent, but why programming language is required? Just to build your logic, right? Logic building is required. If you will, like many product based companies interview I have attended, right, like the current company I am working on, okay, so for that, logic building is very much required. They are going to ask you a few questions so that you can programmatically define that. Okay, then only you would be able to get 45 plus package, right? So very few company offers that. So that is why all aspect you should touch. Okay, now coming to networking concept. So coming to networking concept, so these are all the things which is required. Okay, like subnets, public and private network. I will each and everything one by one. Okay, first, hope you are creating these all mind map in your notes as well. Okay, apart from that, we should know CIDR notations, static, or we should know about the difference between static versus dynamic IP. Okay, apart from that, we should know about firewalls, proxy, and what else? We should know about public and private DNS. Correct. So what does this mean? I will tell you one liner. Okay, apart from that, you should know VPN. So these are the day-to-day thing as a DevOps engineer you will be dealing with. Okay, protocols. So these are the complete networking concept that is expected from you to know at least. Okay, not in depth, but yes. So coming to the subnet. Okay, coming to the subnet. So subnet is something like where you split your large network into a grouping of smaller interconnected network to which will help you to minimize the traffic. Okay, so what you have done, you have a large network like this VPC, and you have done what, you have just splitted into many smaller interconnected network. You can say this will be connected to this, right? Some system are there, some system are there which will be interconnected, correct? And so that it will be very easy for you to minimize the traffic. Okay, so we have seen about the subnet, right? Now we will see about the public and private network. Okay, what are the things we should know into this public and private network? So private network private network is something like where services are completely controlled by single organization. Okay, so this is your organization. They will have certain apps. This is your organization. They will have certain apps. If they want to access this app into this entire organization itself, no another user from the outside would be able to access that. Okay, only within the organization. So that is why I told where services like it is application or various services that will be controlled by single organization. Okay, and public is something, take an example of your Amazon, Flipkart, right? So these are the things, these are the services that is offered to the customer who wants similar services. Okay, many of you want to order something from Flipkart, right? So in that case, what will happen, I will create an application like Flipkart. Okay, and I will make it public, make it live, so that many people, external user, would be able to access this. Okay, but in case of organization, the application on which they are running their application, suppose this application is suppose it is a Jenkins, right? Jenkins. So this Jenkins will be accessed only into the organizational level. Okay, only organizational can control this. All right, hope you understood. These are a very important point, that is why I'm repeating it again and again. Don't worry about that. So now coming to CIDR, that is the third point of networking concept. CIDR notation. What do you mean by CIDR notations? Okay, CIDR notation is something, these are amount of bits. Have you ever seen something like some IP dot 0.0/27? Okay, like this, have you ever seen something like this? So this is called CIDR, guys. CIDR. Okay, in the CIDR you will subdivide it and make it subnets. Subnet are just a subdivision of VPCs. So CIDR notation is something that is amount of bit that is allocated to a network. So how do we calculate that? Okay, so whenever you see something like this, here some IP will be there. Okay, IP or CIDR, this complete thing makes CIDR. Okay, if it is just this, then this is just a single IP, and if you see something like this is a CIDR, means it is having a lot of IPs. Okay, so the first bit, like whenever you see this 24, so complete bit is 32. Okay, in which whenever you see 24, the 24 bits are allocated to network. Okay, and whatever you see, whatever is left, like 8 bits is still left, that is allocated to host. Okay, and this much number of IP to the power minus 1 is going to be allocated to the host, in the sense like there will be many servers, right? The server will get these IP, this much number of IPs. So this much number of server can have this much number of IPs. So whenever you see now this slash 24, now you can do what, you can easily understand 24 means that is allocated to network bit, and rest whatever is left, that is of our use, correct? And this is for host. Okay, now once this is done, the fourth point is static versus dynamic IP. Static versus dynamic IP. Okay, dynamic IP is something whenever you create a EC2 instance, you get a dynamic IP. Dynamic IP is your public IP. Okay, so whenever you reboot the system, reboot the system, IP gets changed. Okay, so this is okay for your development purpose, right? But when you will go for production kind of thing, there static kind of IP is required, right? IP should not get changed, right? So this is the difference between this. I have tried to explain you with a simple scenario. Hope you understood. Now we will go for the fifth point, that is firewall, right? So firewall. So firewall is something, this is a kind of network security device. Okay, this is a kind of network security device. What does it do? It basically monitors and filters. It basically monitors and filter incoming and outgoing traffics. Hope you understood. So firewall is a network security device which monitors or filter incoming or outgoing traffic. So this, how this is going to happen? So because you are running an organization, you already know what are all the traffic, incoming traffic I should restrict or allow, what are all the outgoing traffic I should restrict or allow, right? So that is your previous obtained security policy. So now your sixth point is proxy. So we will see about proxy. So what is proxy? So you can see, you can consider it as a system or a router. Okay, so what does it do? It provide a gateway. It provide a gateway between your users and internet. Okay, so in simple word, proxy is a system or router that provide gateway between users and internet. Okay, apart from that, this proxy will help you to prevent cyber attackers from entering into the private network. Okay, it is helping you to, from the cyber security perspective also, right? So this is all about the proxy. So, and coming to public and private DNS. So what do you mean by public and private DNS? So let's segregate this first. Okay, here I will keep public DNS, and here I will keep private DNS. In public DNS, we use unique domain name. Unique domain name in the sense there can be just single flipkart.com. There could be single amazon.com, and that is available for the public to use it. Okay, coming to the private. So private domains are used at VPC level. Okay, so if you are not aware about the VPCs level and the VPCs and the subnet, we will have a separate session about that. Okay, we will see this complete thing into our AWS video. Okay, where I will be explaining about all the required resources we need to know into the know about the AWS. Okay, so this is going to be at VPC level. Okay, second point is, so to enable this, how we can enable a public domain? First we have to purchase a domain, right? Purchase a domain when from anywhere you can purchase, like you have GoDaddy, you can directly purchase from your Amazon also, AWS, I mean Amazon Web Services. And once you will purchase this domain, you have to create a zone, right? Create a zone or hosted zone. Why? And you will add the records that are basically C records, CNAME records. Okay, so these are the things. So first, how to enable public domain name? First we will purchase a domain. Now I will go to AWS. Okay, AWS have Route 53. In the Route 53, I will create hosted zone. Okay, and in the hosted zone I will basically create records Okay, so now what will happen if any external user sitting outside of the world, sorry, from the within the world, he will try to access this site. What will happen? He will just enter this into his browser. It will get transferred to route 53. From the route 53, it will resolve the domain name. And suppose you are running a load balancer in the behind, and your all the servers running behind this load balancer will get accessible, right? So here into AWS you have IP that you have basically mapped with the this meaningful name. Okay, so this, and apart from that, private domain, coming to private domain do not need to be registered, and it is only accessible to the VPC level. Okay, so this is all about the private and the public domain. Coming to the VPN. So what do you mean by VPN? So VPN is nothing but it enables private connection, it enables private connection between two machines or network. Okay, VPN enables private connection between two machine or network over a shared public network. Okay, so see, you are able to access the public services, public domain names, public services like Flipkart and all, using a by connecting to a private network securely, right? Accessing public things using our private connection, right? So in your day-to-day life, you are making use of this VPN to play PUBGs and all, right, which is not yet available in India. So for that you are making a private connection, and you are able to access the game, correct? So these are the simple use cases. And last but not the least, we have protocols. Okay, so this is a very very important topic, because interviewer sometimes asked about the different kind of protocols. Okay, and what are the protocols you have worked on, what are all the port number of that protocol? So you have HTTP, you have HTTPS, you have FTP, file transfer protocol, you have TCP, you have SSL, TLS, you have SSH. So there are various protocols, right? But I'm listing just the relevant one which is going to help you for your interview perspective. So what do you mean by protocol first? So protocol is something that provide us some medium and set of rules to establish communication between different devices for exchange of data and other services. So what is the port of HTTP? That is 80. For HTTPS you have 443. For FTP you have 21. For SSL TLS you have 465. And for SSH you have 22. And for SMTP you have 25. So this is we have understood what is protocol, and we have seen about the port numbers, right? So in this way we have seen our complete networking concepts, correct? So now we will see about security. Okay, so security is something. So let me give you a quick revision. We have seen that we are currently watching the DevOps roadmap, we are looking at the prerequisites, and we have seen programming languages, networking concept, and now we will see the security aspect of prerequisites, DevOps prerequisites, security, cloud, and operating system. Coming to the security, so security, first getting into that, we should understand what does this security means. So this, you can say, it is a collection of procedures and technologies. There are certain rules and there are certain technologies using that are basically designed to address external and internal threats. Threats for what? Threats to business security, right? To secure your business you have to use some procedures and technologies, right, so that you can address those external and internal threats, right, to make it more secure. Okay, so what are all the things we will see into security? I will be explaining about these all things. Just go through the mind map first, and you have forward proxy. All coming to the firewall, we have already saw this. Like, firewall is a network security device that monitors and filters incoming and outgoing traffic. So that is basically based on an organization previously obtained security policy. Okay, we have already saw that. Now here we will see about basically reverse proxy and forward proxy. So what do you mean by reverse proxy? Okay, so basically it sits behind the firewall, okay, in a private network. And second thing is, it directs client request to appropriate backend server. Okay, whenever a client is requesting for something, it redirects the request to appropriate backend server. So one of the use cases, if one of the tool, if you are aware, that is Nginx, right? In Nginx, we hit home, it will hit to some set of server, like login server, like home page. When we hit login, it send those all traffic to login servers. Okay, so that is why I told reverse proxy help you to direct client requests to appropriate backend servers. Okay, and now coming to the forward proxy. What do you mean by forward proxy? So this is most common form of proxy server, you can say. Okay, this is most common for it pass request from an isolated private network to internet through firewall. Okay, so there is 2 point we have seen about forward proxy. Let me revise that. Like, for reverse proxy, that is, reverse proxy basically sits behind the firewall in a private network, and it do what? It basically direct the client request to appropriate backend server. And forward proxy is something, this is most common form of proxy server, which is used to pass request from an isolated private network to internet, okay, through firewall. Now we will see the cloud and operating system. In cloud, either you should know AWS or you should know Azure. All the knowledge is not required, all cloud knowledge is not at all required. But if you want some package greater than 40 plus 50 plus, then multi-cloud knowledge is very much sorry, and the third is GCP. Okay, and coming to the operating system. So coming to the operating system side, you should know Linux or Unix, because as a DevOps engineer, you will be completely dealing with mostly Linux and Unix systems. Okay, these Linux distribution itself. Apart from that, you should know something about input output management. How does it work? And you should know about the file system in Linux. You should know about the virtualization concept, like using the hypervisor, we create some certain servers, right? And you should know about thread and process management. These are the things which will come into OS. Okay, so coming to thread and process management. Thread, if you are not aware about the thread and process, like, process is something when a program is under execution. Okay, when a program is under execution, that is called a process. And thread is something that is a segment of process, means it is a part of that process. Okay, so you can say it is a set of tasks in a process. Okay, and that set of tasks runs independently. So we are done with the complete prerequisites, correct? Now we will go for the tools and technologies, correct? Tools and technologies. What are all the things we should know? We should know version control system. In version control system, what are the tools are there? This is mandatory. Okay, Git, GitHub, SVN. Okay, apart from this, you should know build tools like Maven, Gradle, right? Because whenever you are having a Java application, as I told in the previous class, you build the Java application, get the jar or var files, okay, that you deploy to the Tomcat server. So that is why to build this only, we need a tool called Maven. Okay, after build tool, you should know some tools about configuration management. Configuration management tools are basically Ansible, Ceph, and Puppet. They're etc. These are the main thing. So coming to the version control system, like you should know the Git, GitHub, and SVN, right? But why this is required to maintain your code version? Many developers are working parallel for the single application, okay? But they have created feature branch, right? And once they are done with, suppose this is working on login, registration, and logout. Once they have done with the coding, they will merge it into some other branch that is called main branch or master branch, right? So using Git, GitHub, like where this is act as a central repository, and using Git is a command line tool. Using that, you are connected with the GitHub, okay, and you are doing the coding and all. You are storing it to the central repository, right? So it enabling you to work in a distributed way. There is no dependency, right? And coming to the build tools, as I have given this example, one of them is Maven, and the second is Gradle, and etc. There are various tools. Okay, I am giving just the one we should know at least. Coming to the configuration management, we should, that is Ansible and Ceph and Puppet. Okay, any of them is fine, but I will tell you to learn Ansible, right? This is most in demand now. Okay, I will have a separate video on each and every tool you can see here: GitHub, Maven, Ansible, or Ceph also if time permits. So Ansible is something, if you don't know about this Ansible, suppose let me give you a scenario again. This is an organization which is having 100 of development servers, okay, and someday somebody is there as a Linux administrator. He want to install HTTPD or Apache on this 100 of server. So does he has to go to each and every server and install this package, right? So in that case, Ansible came in picture. Okay, so there will be some master server. From the master server you will connect all the 100 of servers, okay, in simple. It is very simple to connect. That connection happens using SSH. Okay, this is going to be Ansible master, and you will consider those all server where you want to install the software as a nodes, these 100 server. Okay, and you will write simple playbook, just single playbook means .yaml file, and once you will execute, you know, at a single time you would be able to reach those all server using SSH connection, and you will be able to install this package as well. Okay, how powerful this tool is, correct? So this is how your Ansible, Ceph, and Puppet will help you. Coming to the infrastructure as a code. Infrastructure as a code, there are mainly three popular tools we have, okay, but we should mostly prefer the Terraform, because that will work on multi-cloud, that is multi-cloud supported. So like Terraform, CloudFormation, and Azure RM. Okay, so Terraform is multi-cloud supported, like you can write the Terraform template. These are basically .tf files, okay, and you can create a large infrastructure using this Terraform, okay, and you have CloudFormation and Azure RM also. The Azure RM is Azure specific. You cannot use the same template for AWS or GCP. CloudFormation is AWS cloud specific, but your Terraform is multi-cloud supported, okay. And why does it came in picture? Why we should learn infrastructure as a code? Correct, this is one of the question you will be thinking. Okay, suppose you have joined any organization as a DevOps engineer, and okay, someday they are asking you to create 100 plus servers. Okay, in the server, 50 server will have Ubuntu image and 50 server will have Linux image. Okay, so are you going to this AWS console and you are going to create this all server? Okay, this is not a good way, right? So in that case, infrastructure as a code came, okay, where you will be basically writing Terraform .tf files. Okay, in that file you will be mentioning all the requirements. You will be variabilizing. See how dynamic is this. You will be variabilizing, and you can create the n number of server here just by executing the simple file. Okay, after execution you will get the state files also. State file we have to maintain means it whatever things you have created, like 100 server you have created, and next day you have, so whenever you run this Terraform code, you will get some tf state files. This is very important to store, so that we store into S3 bucket. S3 bucket is a storage account like your Google Drive, right? So you will get 100 of server. You have created 100 of server and you have received a tf state file, correct? Now when for the next day you missed adding one more server, so right now what will happen when you will miss this tf state file, it will try to create again this 100 of server. Okay, and it will fail because this server are already existing. So that is why your tf state comes in picture. Like it will compare the current configuration, means the one which you are creating, and the existing configuration, this previous configuration, and it will see these are the 100 server which I have already created. Now I just need to create this single server. Okay, so this is how Terraform help you a lot. Okay, and no space left is there. We have seen these four. Now what else we should know? After infrastructure as a code, we should know about containerization tools. So this is just an example I'm giving. Okay, what are the things? These all tools. I will make a video of tools specific. Okay, I will be making tool specific video with real-time scenarios, and we will do the hands-on implementation as well, like how we are currently using in the organization. Okay, so just stay with me. Okay, containerization tool, we have Docker, right? So if you have attended the day 1 session, you have seen how we have resolved the dependency between the QA team or the different teams, right? Using this Docker concept, using this Docker tool. Apart from that, this is mandatory to learn this container. Everything, whatever I am mentioning into tools and technologies, you should know. Okay. Apart from that, we should know orchestration tool like Kubernetes, Docker Swarm. Docker Swarm is nothing but a Kubernetes of Docker. Okay, but this is just for development purpose if you are interested. Otherwise, only Kubernetes, learning Kubernetes is enough. Okay, and apart from that, there is OpenShift as well. So these are the popular orchestration tools, but mainly our focus would be Kubernetes and Docker Swarm. Okay, Kubernetes is very important, so you don't have to go into depth because this is a very big and vast topic. Okay, we just have to know this much, like so that we can handle any of the project easily, right? Once you will get into the project, you can learn it simply. Okay, DevOps is all about keep on learning, right? Coming to the monitoring tool, this is the last part. Monitoring tools are like suppose you have deployed your application using Kubernetes maintains, if you are aware, like 100,000 of pods and nodes, right? These pods contain multiple containers, Docker containers. Okay, and some tools you would be needing, right? So that you can check the health of the pod first, you can check the health of the application running inside the pod, you can check the health of the node in which your pods are running, right? So for that, you would be needing some monitoring tools, right? Like you have Prometheus, Grafana, and Splunk. Okay, there are various tools, but these are right now most in demand tools. Okay, so this is all about the complete DevOps roadmap for a beginner or experienced, and we have seen what are all the prerequisites we have to follow, and what are all the things, what are all the tools and technologies which is must known. Okay, these things you have to do it anyhow if you want to become a DevOps engineer. So I will be bringing a separate session for each and every tools. Okay, so if you think about prerequisite, you will be thinking, is it really mandatory to learn this prerequisite? Okay, so I will say if you are a beginner, okay, so you don't need to go in depth about these all things like networking concept and security aspect, but you should know about the Linux, you should script and the Groovy scripting and networking concept. Means not all the topic I will suggest you to learn. As if you're a beginner, you should know about subnet, like CIDR notation, how we can calculate the IPs, number of IPs, how far we can divide a VPCs into how many subnets, static IPs, some part of proxy and VPN. So this is not really mandatory to learn if you're a beginner, but if you want to get some package like 45, 50 plus, then you should know these all things as well. Okay, and logic building is enough if you are applying for product based company, like I have applied for Falabella, Nokia. We were asking about these tools. Okay, so this was all about today's session. So see you in the third session. If you really like this video, please do like, comment, and share with your friends also. That is the only help I would be needing from your end in order to continue. And I'm keeping a target of 3,000 like for the next video. Okay. Thanks a lot.